there are a lot more people who are experiencing stress and anxiety and then sleep-related issues as well. That also means some more people are getting prescribed meds. So with that comes a really important conversation about addiction. Certified addiction specialist Steve Carleton has woken up early on a Sunday morning to come in today. Thank you so much for that. We always love having you. Talk a little bit about the progress that was being made when it comes to pills and sleep, and then how COVID derailed that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the first thing to know about benzodiazepines is sort of what are we talking about? We're talking about Xanax, we're talking about Klonopin, Ativan, Valium. These are the most common ones. And what we knew going into COVID was that the prescriptions for those medications were on a downward trajectory, and with the stress of COVID and everything else going on at the time, those prescriptions increased.
So for folks who are saying, okay, well, I just got that prescription, or I was thinking about it, when it comes to addiction, what are you telling them to watch for, and how long does it take to develop something to be watched closely? That's
a great question. So what the best recommendations are you should not take these consistently daily for more than 2 to 4 weeks.
Okay.
Right? Anything beyond 2 to 4 weeks, and you've really crossed into that physiological dependence where you might need help getting off.
So when you say 2 to 4 weeks, I guess, what is the reality? Are people really taking it longer than that, or what do you think people are
doing?
There's
about 30 million Americans that are prescribed these benzodiazepines. So this is a common problem. This is a common thing. What people really need to understand is if you're taking them daily consistently, it worsens anxiety over time. It worsens sleep. If that becomes your go-to mechanism for dealing with that stress and anxiety and getting healthy sleep, it worsens those problems.
So what is your advice then to folks who are saying, okay, but the idea of not having that help feels anxious to me, or I don't know how to get myself to a point where I'm not relying on them? Where do you tell them to start?
Well, I think you have to taper off of these medications. That's essential. You cannot stop these cold turkey. And at Gallus Detox, where I work, this is something that we see often, right? And it's one of the hardest substances to come off of, even if they're prescribed from a doctor. And so I think people need that validation and understanding of, even if these are prescribed by a doctor, they might be a problem.
How often do you see that issue with somebody with their sleep meds having trouble coming off of them?
Pretty often. It's common, and so it doesn't look like a stereotypical addiction issue, right? These people might be going to work, their relationships might be fine. They might just notice that increase in anxiety, that worsening sleep over time. And so when you start noticing that happen when you're prescribed these medications, calling Gallus Detox, calling places that can help you with that is really important.
What are your advice for people who are saying, well, what are my other coping mechanisms then? If I can't use this as regularly, what can I do?
Yeah, so avoidance is the thing that typically maintains anxiety and sleep problems. The more we avoid and resist dealing with things, the bigger of a problem they become. And so exercise, right? Therapy, sort of journaling, talking about what's going on, right? Really exploring sort of emotions and triggers and problems that you're experiencing. These are things that are helpful.
It's an interesting conversation because when we talk about addiction, as somebody who's like covered it for years as well, you don't always talk about it in this scope as something as routine and necessary as sleep. Do people make that connection when they're prescribed these pills?
I think so, and I think with sleep, people are looking for a way to a way to deal with that quickly. That's a normal human response. If we have a problem, we want it to get better more quickly.
Yeah, Jordan just passed me a note like we were in school or something.
He
has a question. I was like, what is that? He wanted to ask for somebody when it is addictive, when should they be concerned? Like, what are like the signs at that point?
Yeah, great question, Jordan. Yeah. So you'll notice an increased anxiety. You'll notice a worsening of your sleep, of whatever you took that medication for. That gets worse. You'll notice shakiness. You'll notice sort of sweating. People experience these things called brain zaps, right? At worst, if people are taking high doses consistently for a long period of time, you're at risk for seizures, right? Benzodiazepines, coming off of them too rapidly when you're really physiologically dependent, can can lead to death. And so people need to know that. And I don't think they're always educated about that when they start taking these medications.
Got it. Okay, so for somebody who's saying, hey, I need to reach out, I need to help, where would you want them to start?
Gallus is your best bet in terms of detox. But you first conversation with your doctor. A lot of times when patients come into us, they've tried a lot of things already that haven't worked. And so then they need to come inpatient to Gallus and get better.
This is such an important topic. I really appreciate it. It impacts a lot of people. So thank you for your time.
My pleasure.